Hey, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This is the show all about farmers markets, how to increase your market business success, and in the current climate, how to maximize safety while providing people with fresh food. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a farmer or food producer selling at farmers markets, this is the podcast for you. On today's episode of Tent Talk, we're talking about how much more successful educated vendors are. Starting off on the right foot and continuing to expand vendor education is key to a long-term successful farmers market business. Hey everyone, I'm one of your hosts, Brijet Myers, and I've spent years as an on-site farmers market manager, and I'm also the education coordinator at Farmers Market Pros.
And I'm Catt White, another co-host, director of San Diego Markets, still an active farmers market manager, founder of Farmers Market Pros, and host of the Farmers Market Pros community.
And I'm co-host Justine Marzoni-Mead, Tent Talk producer, Vendor 101 alum, and info booth lady for San Diego Markets.
Gosh, I forgot you took Vendor 101.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, way back when.
Way back.
I remember, this is bad, but I was so hungover that day. I don't know what I did the night before, but I just remember like dangling by a thread, like trying to like write down everything I possibly could. And then I got home and I was like, Dave, I learned so much.
Oh, good. Well, at least you could still write, so you could reference back.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, we started teaching that class in 2010. When were you getting started, Justine?
I think I took the class in 2015. Probably April of 2015.
That sounds about right.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we just find, I have people now. So the way we work Vendor 101, and some of you have heard all about this if you've been at the conference, or we've mentioned it before on the podcast, but we started our Vendor 101 class for our markets because instead of answering 72 questions for each phone call when somebody calls and says, I want to work in the farmers market, how does that work? Or they email and say, I make jam, how do I go into business at a farmer's market? I mean, that's a lot of time. It was taking up a crazy amount of staff time. So we just thought if we put a whole bunch of people in one room and answered all those questions at once, that would make so much more sense. And then we found a lot of other benefits from it after we started doing it. The people who had taken the class were so much more engaged. They knew they had kind of a logical path to follow to get started. The class definitely weeded out some people that thought, pretty tense rain from the sky, as we've discussed before, and didn't understand just how hard it is and how seriously you have to take it to be a successful farmers market vendor. And we always tell people, that's one of two good outcomes. You can take this class and just spend one day and a little bit of money to find out that this is not the life for you, as opposed to spending your life savings in a couple of years to figure that out. So that it's been so good. And we really do find now that we've been doing it for so many years, we can kind of track through and see how much more successful new vendors are and how much longer vendor businesses last if they started with a good basis of education.
Yeah, totally. I just remember being like, oh my God, because I had been Googling things and was really, really overwhelmed with the health department, and it just seemed so scary. And at least for me taking Vendor 101, I was one of the people that was like, okay, cool, this is doable. But I do remember a lot of people in my session were like, kind of like slowly backing out of the door, kind of realizing it was something that they didn't want to do. But as a vendor, it was also a really helpful resource to be able to direct other people to, because like you said, you get so many questions from people, or people just showing up to the farmer's market at the info booth being like, how do I do this?
Right.
And that happened to us as vendors so much. People would, entrepreneurs would be walking through the market and stop at our booth and be like, oh, you guys seem like you kind of have your stuff together. Tell me how to become a vendor. And I would just be like, take Vendor 101.
Right.
It saved us a lot of time and energy too, just to be able to direct people back to the class that we took.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
It's nice to point people somewhere, because I think it also illustrates that it's more than just like a couple quick questions. If we say, hey, there's a whole class about it, some people will be like, oh, a whole class about it. This isn't like camping for the weekend.
Yeah,
it's just
really
kind
helpful.
of,
either at the booth or on the phone when they say, well, can't you just answer a couple of questions? And I'll say, well, it takes me 5 hours to teach the class. So it just, I can answer a couple of questions, but I don't think it's going to get you there.
I just tell people your question, whatever 3 questions you have are going to lead to 100 other questions. It just is. I can't answer 3 questions for you and then you're ready to go.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, that's not how it works.
Right.
So especially, I mean, I know different states have different regulations, but I'm thinking it's complicated everywhere. And then especially in California, we have layers and layers and layers of permits. So it's like the way you answer one question could lead in 3 different directions. So then I have to jump to like it's like a flow chart, like the next way. If you answer yes, I'm going to give you this next thing. If you answer no, I'm going to give you this next bit of information. So it's really helpful to be in a class because we can say, okay, this is your path over here. And then the person sitting next to you in the class or in their house on Zoom nowadays, because we're doing electronically, the other person on the screen, their path is going to lead this other way. So it's nice to be able to explain to people, hey, it's a little more complicated, but we have an education program for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny now that we're doing it on Zoom. I think there's a lot of people that aren't able to go to their day jobs. You know, they've been thinking about this for a while and maybe they would have taken the class and gone off to do a side hustle, but now they actually have more time on their hands and we can't have them come to a classroom anymore, but we can do it online. I think people are learning a lot of stuff during this time. Has anybody learned French yet? Yeah.
I'm doing lots of Duolingo and learning my Francais, and I am watching watercolor videos, and my daughter and I have been watercoloring.
Oh, you have to tell me about that.
I love it. I love it. I followed this gal on Instagram, and then now she has videos on YouTube, and I'm about to pay for her. She has like little short programs too. We don't talk about this for a long time, but she has like little programs you can learn to like do more with your watercolors.
I want to take that.
Yeah, you totally should.
I'm gonna look
it's
those
fun.
Up. Justine, in this time on Zoom and online, has learned to be a rather expert website designer.
Yeah, I've been designing websites. My sewing skills have really improved since I've been sewing all those masks, and I'm literally sewing the clothes that I'm wearing right now. And I've also been watching a lot of like landscaping videos because I am DIYing my yard, and
we're all just skill sharing. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice. No, it's great. And so I think what you did, Squarespace Express, right? Is that the name of that program?
That's what it's called, yeah.
Kirsten Martin, I think her name is. But that's been really valuable. Justine is doing amazing things to all of our websites. Our market website is going to relaunch first of the week. It's so beautiful.
Thank God.
It's so frustrating forever.
Our website was disgusting.
It's terrible.
We're those people that like teach people how to do better with their business, but like don't take care of our own business like that.
Yeah, we do for sure.
But now we can say, look at our beautiful website. You should have a website like that too.
Yeah, and then she's going to move on. She's already moved on to. We're going to have a new Farmers Market Pros website.
Also so exciting.
It's very exciting, which has also been a little pitiful. Yeah. I think we're definitely not WordPress people. We're doing better now that we're firmly into Squarespace.
Yeah.
Just is what it is.
My skills lie in other areas.
That's right. Yeah. But anyway, so like Justine's learned to
like fish breeding. Oh, I am watching so many fish breeding and fish tank videos. Oh Lord. When I stay up late on my phone, I watch AquaPro's YouTube channel. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm like a fish. I'm talking about tropical fish in a tank at my house, you guys. And my husband is very concerned that he's going to come home one day and I'm going to have one of those like.
Our listeners probably shouldn't go down that.
No.
Because you can't really sell tropical fish at a farmer's market. I don't think. Never seen anybody do that. Maybe chickens, though.
Into like exotic, large cats.
Like, no, I did watch Tiger King, but it didn't make me want to buy a tiger. So
I'm glad.
It actually made me want to never even go to a zoo. So
I'm going to encourage our listeners to come back and move more towards chicken raising videos.
Yes.
Something farmers market relevant.
Yes.
Let's get away from the tigers and the tropical fish.
Yeah, they're not farmers market related. But chicken raising,
something local.
Yeah. A couple of my neighbors have chickens. It's been great.
And
they're growing gardening.
Yeah, a lot of people I'm into gardening.
I have attempted. It was great, and now I've just ignored it because I've been focusing on my fish.
Your garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, my garden's doing well.
You know what?
So many tomatoes.
I was really into gardening when I was really concerned about the farmers markets and like what's going to happen with our local food source. And then now that I've realized that I know a lot of farmers and they will always provide food for me, I've kind of like, man, I'll just get it from them.
Yeah. I'll tell you what else. All those
stay in your lane.
Yeah, stay in my lane.
All of us that are working on gardening.
Yeah.
I mean, once you figure out just how hard it is to make vegetables thrive, I feel like everybody should try gardening just so that they don't ever complain about the cost of vegetables at the farmer's market, because they'll get a clue for how hard it is to make it work.
Oh my gosh. My pea plants, I got like 4 peas. It was so much work. I will pay $1,000 a pea at the farmer's market.
Right? And they should.
I mean, it really does help. And it's really like when everything was really, really going crazy and farmers were like doing deliveries and like trying to do pop-ups and stuff like that. That is the feedback they gave to us. Like, wow, I never realized how hard it was to like gather people in one place that want to buy food. And they started appreciating market managers and their markets more. So it's like, if you
managing online sales.
Yeah.
So that's another thing people learned online, is there are all these platforms for how to, take orders and do deliveries and all that. And they learned a lot from online classes.
Yeah.
But it's hard work. Just because you can learn it doesn't mean you want to do it forever. So they all seem to be pretty happy to be back at the farmer's market. If you wanted to learn more, though, about farming and actually about some marketing, some of his classes are good for farmer's market marketing. Michael Kilpatrick at Thriving Farmer, he does a lot of online classes. He just did one that actually I almost signed into, not that I have anything more than a fairly small patio, but it was how to start your farm. It was like Farm 101.
Wow.
For small farms and market farms. It looked really, really interesting, and it wasn't that expensive. It was, I don't know, under $400.
Yeah.
And it was, he has a lot of other classes too at various price ranges, and you can get bundles and all that. But I would totally recommend looking at his stuff for any of our farmers and our up and coming farmers that are around the market. It's amazing what you can learn online.
Yeah.
There's some other guys out there doing that too, Curtis Stone and those folks. But I've been pretty impressed with Michael Kilpatrick and Thriving Farmer. And he's got a great online private Facebook group.
Yeah.
It's almost all farmers. It has really good questions. I'm in there every once in a while answering farmers market specific questions, but he answers a lot of farming questions. And I think that comes with his online classes as well.
That's so great. Like, teach what you know. Just if you have these skills to teach, just like putting these programs together, I think are so valuable to people who want to learn more about it, and maybe learn more and then back away and really value the work that you do, or learn more and you can start a whole like new generation of small farmers or farmers market vendors or farmers market managers. It's just really nice to see that kind of skill sharing and, selling these programs going on.
Yeah, I think it's so valuable. Well, so I would imagine that probably some people that took our Vendor 101 class came away with the same feeling, that they didn't want to be vendors, but maybe they valued the vendors at the market more.
Oh, yeah.
Just as shoppers, because most people that come to a Vendor 101 class or that come think about becoming vendors, they're generally market shoppers to some degree.
Yeah.
So they probably value more what it takes to be a vendor when they're out there buying things.
Oh yeah, I see a lot of our students, like just people who have taken our class over the years, that shop the market, and they're just out there. They never started their business. They're just out there shopping, and I see they're happy to just purchase someone else's hot sauce and someone else's jam, because they realize like how much work goes into it and how it's an actual business. And so I think they appreciate it more. So that's nice. Sometimes people take the class and they say, I don't know if I really have an idea for something to sell. I just want to know how all this works.
Yeah.
And so those people sometimes just kind of are curious about how being a farmer's market vendor works. And then once they learn that, again, have just a much deeper appreciation for the work that farmer's market food vendors and farmers do.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about, and we'll probably eventually, maybe this year, launch Farmers Market Manager 101. So that'll be coming. And of course, the 101 classes are usually for startups. And then that's how we got to offering the Farmers Market Conference, was to provide education for people who are already in it and wanted to go deeper. And we'll continue that. Conferences are a big source of concern for the early part of next year. Yeah, so we don't know what's going to happen. It may be on Zoom. It may be more broken up into modules. We may cooperate with some state associations to do some things. But yeah, those kind of classes are good. But you know what we should talk about maybe is a Farmers Market Shopper 101. Can we sign people up so that they understand how hard we work and how hard it is to do it, and then they don't argue about prices anymore?
That's actually a really good idea. I just had a conversation with one of our farmers on Saturday, because we can't do sampling at the market right now. And he was like, Brijet, it's killing us because they grow, their farm is all organic, and their produce is so delicious, but it's more expensive because they have to pay for the organic certification. It's just math. And they're just a big family farm and stuff. So he was like, it's hard to explain to people why they should pay more and like go through the whole like conversation about organic process and like paperwork and the fees and all this stuff, like while they're standing there at the market.
And they don't really care about that as much as they care about the taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
He goes, but I never really had to explain so much as I do now, because before I could just say, here, try our strawberries. And as soon as they tried it, I wouldn't even have to say anything to them. They would just buy it. And he's like, all that concern,
all price resistance goes
concern
away,
would go away if they had, obviously if they had the money in their pockets to shop. So yeah, I was really curious, but yeah, that'd be kind of interesting to do. Like, we should do that. We should do like, this is why the price point is the way it is for different vendors, and this is the work that goes into it, and this is what you're supporting. I mean, we have graphics and things. The Farmers Market Coalition does some really great graphics about like when you shop at farmers markets, this much money goes back into the community because these are locally owned businesses. So that kind of things helps, and I share that on our market pages sometimes, and some shoppers will be really interested in that. But that'd be great. Do a little class.
Yeah, be good.
Be fun.
Yeah, maybe you should do an episode of Tent Talk that we just mostly post on San Diego markets in Little Italy.
That's not a bad idea. Like a consumer
episode.
And then other market managers and vendors and farmers can share it with their
That's a good idea.
shoppers. And we'll try not to be salty. I'll have to keep Catt at bay.
We've had shoppers before, like, when we were selling our hot sauce for $10, somebody one day was like, first offer, $4.
Whoa.
No. And then he was like, second offer, $5. And Dave was like, no.
This is not an auction,
Dave,
sir.
This is not a flea market. Get out of here.
Oh my goodness. Sold to the man that'll pay $12 just for being annoying.
Yeah. You actually have a charge now. It's a surcharge.
It's a fee, a convenience fee for us having to deal with that whole nonsense.
Oh my gosh. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
have to figure out how to word that so that people understand, but that we aren't like barking at them. Just because sometimes I find myself like, why don't you just understand? Like, want to strangle people, but
yeah.
Figure that out. It's a great idea. Yeah. Anyways, back to our topic at hand. Classes that exist.
You mentioned they're actually doing some good webinars, especially for market managers.
Oh yeah.
So there's a few state associations around that are doing webinars now, that especially during the whole COVID-19 thing, where some things are way more complicated than they used to be.
Yeah.
Not that they weren't complicated before, but complicated times 6.
Just an extra layer.
Yeah. There's a lot of associations, Farmers Market Coalition, the Virginia Farmers Market Association, I think the New York Farmers Market Association, and for sure Washington State Farmers Market Association have all been offering various webinars to market managers about things like, how do you get grant funding and relief fund, some of the relief funds work, how to do all the hygiene reports and things that you have to do during COVID-19, all that. So some of them are free. Some of them are kind of a nominal cost, not much money, and I think really good value. So that's another bit of online education. And then for farmers who sell at markets, particularly farmers, although I've found a lot of her information helpful just on the level of mindset and how to sell anything and how to be a good marketing and overall small business person. Charlotte Smith, who's been at our conference before, and I think she's been on the podcast, but it's been a long time. She teaches a class called Farm Marketing from the Heart, and I want to say it's $350 or $399, somewhere in there. She does a lot of support with it. There's a lot of online meetings, but you can take it at your own pace. Well worth it. I've seen so many people in her group and people that came to the conference who had taken her classes that have said they got so much out of it, and their sales were so much higher that it more than covered the cost of the class just in the first couple of months. And of course, they'll be using that for years to come. So she
has such an active Facebook group too.
Yeah, I want to say she has like 10,000 or more followers on there, and they're very generous. It's a very participatory group. So if you ask a question in there, you get a lot of answers from other farmers that are selling, actually both at farmers markets and other ways. A lot of her class covers things that have nothing to do with farmers markets. It's for if you're running a CSA, or if you're selling online, or if you're selling at a farm stand at your house, lots and lots of things.
And it's super diverse. There's a lot of people across the country. It's not really necessarily attached to a certain geographic.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, in fact, I see people pop up on there pretty regularly who are in like New Zealand and different parts of Canada, and she gets a really big international crowd. Yeah, and it really does apply to, I think, to people outside the farming. Like, I find her information really valuable and very helpful. And I'm a market manager. I'm not even selling a particular item or running a farm, but just I listen to her podcast all the time. It's so good.
and she just has a lot of great kind of sales and marketing information for anyone.
Yeah,
But
overall mindset, how you approach your business.
Yeah, how you approach it. She has some really good like analogies and tips and things like that you can use anytime.
Yeah,
she's great. We love her.
Yeah, we love her. So I would highly recommend to other market managers that they operate a Vendor 101 class.
Yes.
We've had a couple managers ask us recently about how they would do that. And it's trying to think of good ways to explain that. We can do a manual of sorts. I actually recommended to a couple people just recently, and I think they're signed up for our next Zoom class, that they just sign up and take our Vendor 101 class so they can get an idea of the flow and the curriculum and the different things that we teach.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend that to farmers market managers that want to start their own class. That gives you a good handle on how we teach it and how the students react to it and the various things that you've got to cover.
What it covers, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So I think that makes sense, because I would highly recommend it to pretty much any manager. Just it makes it so much easier to deal with new vendors lately if they've got the basics down.
Yeah.
And you know that they have to have these kind of permits and they've got to have this kind of equipment. And we do a big section on appropriate operations and etiquette at the market and to stay in your booth and show up when it rains.
Yeah. And we've also started
display.
Over the last 10 years, the curriculum has kind of changed and we've whittled some things down. We've added some different like sections that we do and sessions just based on feedback from people that are taking the class.
Right.
So yeah, it's you have to listen to what they need, because it's a 5-hour class. It very well could be a 100-hour class. So you have to kind of like, you have to focus on what is the most like necessary information for people to get their business off the ground and to have basics to last them through that startup period.
Right. And it's definitely aimed at startup.
Yeah.
We're working on some new modules that we'll add later on for people that are at markets that want to kind of dig down into how to do social media for markets. And, how to do specific things. But it really does give them a good overview. And actually, what's coming next, I think in August, right?
Yep.
We're going to be launching our Vendor 101 classes that are good for anybody in the country.
Yeah.
So she'll cover the basics, and then you can kind of upgrade on that and get a module that you do online, live on Zoom with us and a manager from the geographic area that you're in.
Yep.
So if there's managers out there that want to partner on that, hit us up, connect@farmersmarketpros.com. Let me know you're interested, because we're going to be talking to some people we already know in various areas. And then we're definitely open to chatting with people that are running their own markets and want to partner up on that local piece so that you can really talk about what are the permits like in your area and what kind of commercial kitchens are you aware of that are doing a good job for people, and where's a great spot in your neighborhood to buy equipment, and to which markets are really successful and it's a good time to good place to apply. So that'll be coming up.
Yeah. We had all those materials and modules all almost ready to go, and I got back from my post-conference quick vacation on like March 10th.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of hit the fan.
All went sideways from there.
Our big plan was to, as soon as I got back, was to bang out these sessions and classes and train all these other market managers with their things. So that went on the back burner.
It did.
But now it's coming back to the front.
Moving it back to the front burner.
So now it's front burner again. So we're really excited to do that. I know we talked about it on the podcast a lot, like in January.
but really this time.
We're really,
seriously.
Yes. Nothing else can go wrong, right? 2020, knock on wood.
Murder hornets.
Catt, you brought up a good point with kind of the aspects of Vendor 101 that are specific to geographical area. Even if you're a market manager and you don't feel like you have the bandwidth or capacity to start your own Vendor 101 class, even if you can do something simple like put together a package of materials that just gives sources or contact information. That was one thing that was so helpful when I took Vendor 101 is just, I was like, well, how do I find a commercial kitchen? Or how do I, just these kind of like local resources that Vendor 101 was able to direct me towards. So for market managers out there that don't fancy themselves educators, if you could at least get together, a Word doc of a couple email contacts or phone numbers where potential vendors could contact people that can help them, that will also probably save you a lot of time. So you're not sending the same email out over and over and over again. you can just, share a resource list with potential vendors.
Yeah, really smart.
Exactly. Yeah, just giving those materials and the 4 Ps and just like some basics that are kind of for people that are interested in participating with your market. So
an awareness of whether your basic permit and insurance requirements and things.
Yeah. And that'll sometimes help people that are inquiring make a decision if they're are they going to go forward, or are they going to look at that and go, oh no, that's not really what I wanted to do, either just because it's different than what they thought, or it's more work than what they thought, or more money than what they thought it was going to be. It's good just to get that information clearly in front of them, because we've had new vendors start at our market who didn't take vendor 101. It's not required, but who didn't take that, and they have enough information to kind of like get the right permits and get started, but they don't really understand fully like the commitment to this and how the business operates, and they start at the market, and it's usually
sales techniques and the importance of consistency. And
so it takes them longer to get successful, or they kind of start and then fizzle away. So that's always sad to see. So we like to kind of start people off on the right foot. We always say like, this is a benefit to market managers, because then you get those vendors that are clear-headed and clearly know how to operate and move forward and make a successful vendor business, because your market is only as successful as your successful vendors and farmers.
Right.
So, I mean, it just really continuing to help them navigate that is really important, I think.
Yeah, it's always a relief to me when we have a new vendor start, and I know it's somebody that's taken vendor 101, so I know they're going to be there on time, and they're going to set up their display that makes sense, and they're going to be happy after the first market or two.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that during this time, me as a market manager, I've thought, are people really going to start their new businesses right now? But really they are. They're looking for that opportunity. So having these programs available and taking a look at them are really important.
We've got 2 great new vendors that have started this month.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Vendors.
Yeah.
Shout out to our...
we have Kula Desserts, which is that amazing plant-based ice cream. So good. It's totally ruined my nutritional profile.
It's delicious. It's vegan, so it's healthy. That's how I...
Yeah, and it's also
not
got
always
sugar, and it's
true.
not really helping me, but it's really, really good.
It's yummy.
And then Veo starts tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a plant-based mayonnaise.
She just just called me from Sam's Club asking me questions about her hand washing station.
Oh, good.
So I got to go, don't you remember from the class? She's like, I know, I'm so confused. I'm so excited about tomorrow. So
it is confusing. The hand washing station thing.
It is really confusing. Oh, I just realized this is going to air after July 4th weekend. So we'll have to pop into Farmers Market Pros community and talk to everyone about how their market went on the weekend. I know some markets are closed, but our market is open on July 4th.
That's right. A lot of them are.
Yeah. So anyways, she was saying that it was busy at Sam's Club. Yikes. But everyone's wearing their mask. Mask it up. All right. So I think we're going to wrap up this session. So to hear what's happening in various parts of the country or share what's happening in your area, we have terrific conversations and people sharing resources over in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community. Feel free to come over, answer the 3 qualifying questions. So we don't let just anyone in there, but if you're in the farmers market industry, we will get you right in and join that group. And you can also message us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros or email us at connect@farmersmarketpros.com. Thank you so much for listening to Tent Talk, and please leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, wherever you may be listening to this podcast, YouTube, as we're discovering. I feel like a grandma didn't know YouTube was a thing still, except for Aqua Pros videos. You can listen to podcasts on there.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be on there a real late night. I wonder if there's fish podcasts. I'm going to look that up. But circling back to our podcast here, leave us a review if you're enjoying it. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast. That helps us, and it will also help you because it will give you a little alert every Monday when our podcast pops up, and you will not miss the next episode. This podcast is produced by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni Mead. Original music by David Mead. Thanks so much for listening.